Hello and welcome to Building on a Budget Models guide to how to print your own waterslide decals. In this video I'll be making them for these Ferrari 2006 race uniforms. These decals came with the kit. This is the Fujimi pit crew for the Ferrari. It has 2007 decals, so I'm going to make my own to change them. Now firstly, it's important to measure some of the decals here to make sure that the ones that I recreate are the same size as the ones I'm replacing. Writing down the sizes in millimeters, using this steel rule, which is very useful as I'll show you later. In some cases there isn't a decal to replace, so therefore it's important to measure the space that you have. It's also a good idea to print the decals onto paper first so you can compare the size to the model. Now it's time to go onto the computer. I'm using Google Images to search for high quality Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro decals, copying this and then pasting it into Microsoft Publisher. You can use Photoshop if you have it, but most people have Publisher. Then I'm going to resize, and I'm using the measurements in millimeters here, also making sure that lock aspect ratio is ticked so that I change the width and height at the same time. Copy and paste that to give me as many as I need. I'm going to try and use the space effectively, spacing them out so that there's enough of a gap in between. I usually print more than I need because it just gives you a little bit of an insurance policy in case you mess any of them up. Now if you untick aspect ratio here, you can change the width and height individually. As you can see here, I can make this one slightly wider. You can also do this manually from the corners, but this one needs to be a little bit smaller anyway because it needs to go onto the crew's helmets. As you can see here, when I resize this image to make it larger, most of the quality hasn't been lost. That's a benefit of this software. It's then time to find a Vodafone logo. Now I couldn't find exactly the decal that I needed, so I'm going to show you how I can play around with this one. So I need it so that the circular logo and the text underneath are the same width. So first of all, I need to resize this to make it smaller. Do the same way that I did before. Then I'll use the crop function and I will reduce it to just the circular logo. Red outline around the outside is fine because this will go onto the back of the red overalls. So there we are, I've done that. Move that up there. Then I copy and paste that, and then I change the crop to cut out just the Vodafone text instead of the circular logo. Then I put that alongside the one above it and then change that to make it the same width as the Vodafone logo from above, which in this case is 0.41 centimeters. And there we are, they're both the same, and then I group them and then it effectively turns them into one image. I can make this a little bit larger. But as you can see, the lock aspect ratio wasn't ticked, so that's only changed the width. So then I can either change around the height, or I can just drag it until I'm happy with the size. But there we are, pretty happy with that. Now then, when it comes to text that you want on a clear decal, like these ones here, this one actually came on a grey background, so I downloaded the file and then I used this free website to remove the background, which turned it into a PNG file, which gave it a transparent background. And then I just reduced the size of that. So this would be for a transparent decal, which can be used on light colours such as white. It's important to get the right decal paper, whether you're using an inkjet or a laser printer. This is from Jupiter Cards, and as you can see here, there's some instructions. Feel free to pause the screen if you want to read this. It tells you about how to set up the printer and that sort of thing. Be careful of where the rollers are in your printer, as it might smudge some of them. Now I've deliberately just printed this at the top half of the paper because therefore I can then cut it out like so. Once that's cut out, I've then got another piece of decal paper, unused, which I can use again later. Once the ink has definitely dried, and I would leave that for a good few hours just to be sure, give it 4 coats of a clear lacquer. I use this clear gloss acrylic, which I got from Halfords. This is designed for cars. You get a lot in the can for about £7.50, so that's good value for money. Now when it comes to cutting them out, you can use scissors. I found that using this steel rule and a craft knife is a really good way of getting a super clear, crisp, straight edge down the side of the decals. Now this is printed onto white decal paper, which means that it will already have white on the background. I don't have a printer that can print in white ink, so this is the only way that I would be able to do something like this. Put down a little bit of micro sets to start with, and then I leave it in the water for sub 10 seconds and try to get it in the right place straight away, as I find that these custom made decals just don't like being moved as much as normal ones do. And here are some of my completed mechanics, and here's just a bit of sped up footage showing you how I applied all of them. Please do leave a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't done so already, hit the bell icon to stay notified, and I'll see you soon.